Police officer here took an 11-year-old, grabbed her, and threw her down on the ground. You got police misconduct all over this nation.
But this is beyond
Oh,
misconduct.
no, you're right.
In the video that we saw, where it shows Miss Bland being pulled over, it goes from a routine traffic stop to this man, more or less turning it up, they say, amping it up into a full-blown altercation between he and Miss Bland, and then a few days later, she's dead.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean,
This whole, I see you're speechless.
no, not only that, because I'm trying to choose my words carefully how I want to say this.
All right, go ahead.
But I think that we sometimes contribute to the problem because
so?
when you get, because I sometimes do get pulled over too, for whether it's a broken tail light or whatever. I don't argue with the man. When I mean the man, I'm talking about the police folks. I don't argue with them. I give them what they want, and hey, keep your hands on the steering wheel. Don't show them any. Don't even raise your voice to them.
Brown, I hear you, but you know what? Listen, first of all, let's get one thing clear. In a lot of these cases, in Miss Bland's case, she was being cooperative.
But I think
he started becoming a little ornery, so she got ornery in return.
because I think she got out of her vehicle to smoke a cigarette or
No,
something.
she was smoking inside the car.
Oh, smoking
We have a
inside,
phone
okay.
call.
Sorry.
Caller, you on the air. What's on your mind? Talk to us.
What's up, my brothers? This is Pastor Keyshawn. How you doing?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm sorry I couldn't make it there today. I just actually got home a few minutes ago
Hey,
What's going
buddy,
on, Rev?
how you doing, Rev?
and turned on the show. I want to throw my 2 cents into the ring.
Come on,
Go
man.
ahead.
You know you got more than 2 cents. Come on, Rev.
All right, first of all, it was an unlawful arrest. She was wrongly arrested. She shouldn't have been. The officer was way out of line. He overstepped. He had I think he has a problem with his authority. I'm not going to say it's necessarily racist, although racism played a part in it. I do think it has a lot to do with police abuse.
Yes.
And how police believe that they're all powerful and then they can manipulate, that basically people have to take whatever direction and orders that they give them, whether it's lawful or not.
Correct.
You can't, something powerful that an officer had said, he said, you can't be resisting arrest if it's an unlawful arrest. And that, in the essence, is if you weren't even supposed to be arrested for what you did in the first place, it's not resisting arrest when an officer's trying to arrest you for something that wasn't arrestable.
Right.
And not making a signal turn is definitely, that's something, no matter what the attitude, improperly trained, whatever it is, that's nothing that you make an arrest for. That's a simple traffic infraction, and it shows how police believe that they are all powerful. But I do believe, given Sandra Bland's history, her behavior, and a lot of things that's coming out with a lot of people that are around her past statements and her actions, I do believe that she committed suicide. And I'm going to say why I believe she committed suicide. I believe that she was already mentally unstable, and the false imprisonment is what triggered her to commit suicide. If she wasn't in jail, she probably would have never killed herself. But when she realized the situation that she was in, being in prison is difficult enough. Being in prison for something that you didn't do, that you weren't guilty of, makes it even 100 times worse. And there's a lot of things that are coming out about that, things that she was dealing with. And I'm not saying it's a smear job, just a smear job. I'm not saying but I do believe from her history, from what a lot of what her family doesn't want to talk about, that she did commit suicide, because I don't believe that it was this. And trust me, you know me as conspiracy man number one. I don't believe it was a conspiracy from the traffic stop to the jailhouse, to them getting her in the jail, to them strangling her. I do believe she committed suicide. But I'm going to throw the ball back in your court.
Could I ask Reverend the pastor one question? And I definitely agree with what you're saying about, up until the suicide part, because I do have this one question. It's not like she was serving time in prison. She was only in jail.
A holding cell.
Right, a holding cell, which she would have been out maybe in a day or so at the most.
Well, brother, I got to tell you, I'm here to tell you I wasn't always a pastor, and I wasn't always an angel. You understand what I mean?
I understand.
I've been in those positions before, and it can be a place of depression, of hopelessness, even in a holding cell. And just because she was there for a few days, you got to remember also she's a female. She may be a little bit more emotional. You know, we had a brother. Now, of course, his case was much worse. He wasn't in for a trial for 3 years, and he came out and it damaged him. Listen, being incarcerated, human beings are not made to be put in cages unless you're violent and you're destructive and you're some sort of menace to society.
Okay.
There's a strong possibility that her being locked up like that affected her mentally. It can, and I can tell you from feelings of depression that I felt when I was locked up. And I'm not talking about I never did like a bid, but for just being in central booking, those 3 days, those 48 hours, them 72 hours that you're in there, you know, some cops will grab you on a Friday night. You might not get arraigned till Monday morning. You understand what I mean?
Enough.
And it could be you could walk in there on a weekend and never walk out.
But,
You know,
That
so-
is true.
But
That is
Reverend-
true.
So, you
but
know,
Reverend-
it's a lot. It's mentally taxing, especially for a person that didn't do anything wrong to have to sit there.
Okay.
There's also a report that her boyfriend or her friend was supposed to bring her bail money, and he never called her back. And she just sat there and stewed. A lot of things could have run through her mind, especially with some of the issues that are being displayed about, you know, her behavior. And mental illness is not a joke.
Well,
Fair
okay,
point.
Reverend, you know, because I've been very candid about my episodes with depression, battling depression, severe depression, and my, you know, 2 bouts where I defeated the demonic monster of committing suicide. I'm very open about that. I'm gonna say this here. She was down there to conduct a job interview. Everything was going great for her, and she herself had been very candid about her battling depression, what she was going through at the time, and how she was overcoming. So I'm having a very difficult time believing that here she had everything to live for, and she was having major breakthroughs that in a span of a few hours, she now kills herself
Well-
because she's in a holding cell.
Well, in
But for
fairness,
Malachi, let's look at trigger effects, things that could have triggered her, like a person who's battling alcoholism or addiction. You know, what can trigger that off? All right, so now she's going down, she's going to get a new job. But instead of being able to get a new job, I'm going to take this back. I'm always a fan of pop culture. Let's go back to the episode of Good Times when JJ was starting a job, and what happened? He got arrested. Remember, he got his mistaken identity.
Right.
And Thelma went down there to try to explain to her boss that, you know what, my brother, he can't make it, he's sick. And she said, well, your brother, he got arrested and he lost the job. So you got to remember that all of these things may have played a role in her relapsing into depression. Now she's in a cell. She's alone. She's isolated now. She may have overcame it, and then for her to be now in jail for a traffic stop, that could have easily pushed her over the edge.
Okay, you know what, Reverend? You know what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do, I'm going to take your point. I'm going to be optical on this.
You might be right. Listen,
No,
that's
but
just
you
my
bring up.
opinion.
But you know what? No, but you're raising some points that you
We
know
didn't
are
think about
very that do require for me to do a little backpedaling and actually rethink and recalibrate my mode of thinking. But right about now, my gut feeling is telling me that this
Okay.
stinks. I'm sorry for stuttering. It stinks to high hell.
but okay.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to take Pastor White's word for it. I think he may be onto something here. But I still don't absolve that officer because it was an unrighteous.
No, he was wrong. He was wrong.
He should-
He needs to lose his job because he caused her to kill herself. He what do you call it? How does he call it?
Criminally negligent homicide.
Where he didn't. It wasn't his intention to do it, but he caused it to happen.
Okay.
And to me,
If
that's
indeed
why.
if indeed that's what happened.
Let's assume that happened. Let's
Okay.
assume Pastor White is correct because I think he may be on to something here.
All right.
First of all, that's a big time lawsuit. Second of all, he should definitely lose his job. Don't talk about retraining, because these officers are trained to deal with crisis situations. This wasn't one of them.
Okay.
This was a routine traffic stop.
But guys, okay, this is where I got to chime in. You know, you've heard me say here on the show, and Fatine himself, and you in our private talks, Mr. Brown, you've heard me say, what's the difference between black and Hispanic police officers when they get trained as opposed to white police officers? Because it seems to me that every time you turn around, when a black or Hispanic man or woman or child is in white police custody, they wind up getting their behinds kicked or killed.
Because
But yet when we
Well, Malachi, let me remind you of a famous case. Perhaps you remember this a few years ago. Do you remember public advocate Betsy Gottbaum?
yes,
Do you remember her daughter-in-law who she went like nuts? I think she was like paranoid schizophrenic. She went off in an Arizona airport in Phoenix,
right,
right?
and they killed her.
And they locked her up in the cell, right? And she was handcuffed, and I think she hung herself in the cell, like she strangled herself with her handcuffs, right? They successfully sued that police department and won a major lawsuit against them. So that's why that case with Betsy Gottbaum's daughter reminds me is eerily reminiscent of what took place with Sandra Bland. That is a possibility. Remember, she was handcuffed to her bed in her cell, and somehow she strangled herself, with her handcuffs on.
I don't believe that. I don't
no,
believe, but
she-
you know what? But now they want us to believe that she took a garbage bag and was able to take a plastic garbage bag. I don't know what kind of density. I don't know if it was a hefty. I'm not making a joke here. No joke. All right, because a garbage bag in a prison cell is not no hefty or third grade type of plastic. It's that little flimsy plastic you see, in a little garbage pail. All right, and she was able to hang herself with
well,
that.
it's a little bit stronger than you think, but yes. I listen. I still got some questions
All right,
about
well,
that
Reverend-
case, but I gotta say that Reverend White definitely enlightened
Yeah,
me.
that's an interesting optical look on it.
Right, especially
and thank you again,
from
Rev.
thank you. Especially when it comes to depression and things of that nature.
But I mean, like I said, I've been depressed, Mr. Brown. I've been through the gamut, and I've been very open. I'm always vocal about it. Like I said. But I'm gonna say this here. I've been battling, having my breakthroughs. But brother,